You're pretty OG, man. It's about as OG as it comes.
Yeah, I'm okay OG. I say I know. I mean,
An
my
Oki
friend.
OG, is that what it is?
Yeah, okay OG.
Well, Hisashi, appreciate you joining us today. Excited to do this interview. I think we've been working together for almost a year now, and at Kraken since way back before that. So
Yeah,
I guess maybe to start off, I'd love to just hear a little bit about your background. How'd you get into crypto, and what brought you to today?
yeah. Thanks, Parker, for having me. Yes, my name is Hisashi Oki, and I'm a director and a chief crypto officer at Allied Architects. I've been in the crypto space for about 8 years. I started as Telegraph Japan editor in chief, and then Kraken in Japan, DYDX Foundation, and founded Superteam Japan, and then joined Allied Architects. Basically, I guess the reason why I got attracted to the crypto space is it's basically Bitcoin. More like I studied actually philosophy, political philosophy, and I also was covering financial markets back before joining crypto industry as a reporter. And then I was thinking a lot about freedom, autonomy, those kind of things when I was studying like political philosophy. And then I had a chance to cover the financial markets as a professional reporter. And then when Bitcoin was attractive because it gets everything that I have. All the interest I have. Is not all the interest combined is something I could see in the Bitcoin space. Freedom, financial markets, and then yeah. So yeah, that's a, yeah
Very
the
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, you've got quite the background. In terms of, folks in Japan, it feels like you've got to be way up there at the top in terms of experience in the space. I know there's some mega OG crypto folks in Japan from the early, Mount Gox days and so on, but you're pretty OG, man. It's about as OG as it comes.
I think yeah. I'm okay OG. I say I know. I mean,
An
my
Oki
friend.
OG, is that what it is?
Yeah, okay, OG. Yeah, I mean, some of my friends started buying Bitcoin, around the time of the Mt. Gox hacking, like 2014. No, that's more OG than myself. When I joined the crypto industry, 2017, 2018, that was actually when the Japanese market was leading the crypto industry in terms of the trading volume. It was the amount of trading volume in yen exceeded more than like 50% actually back then. But now it's like few percent, it seems. But back then more than 50%. So yeah, it's yeah, the good days in Japan back then, and I know I feel like we have to come back to that state soon. I feel like.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, and then I'd love to dive into some of your perspectives on the DAT side, because obviously DAT's, and DAT credit is the engine behind Apex. But what
Mm.
do you think it was about the Japanese, market, the Japanese people that really attracted them to Bitcoin early on before basically anyone else? Like, I don't know, any thoughts there?
Yeah, maybe to begin with, Satoshi Nakamoto sounds really like a Japanese name.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know who he or no the or she or the group name is. Maybe that's one reason. And yeah, a lot of leading players were attracted to attracted to Tokyo like back then, like 2017, like 16, 15. A lot of Bitcoin maximalists um, were living in Japan, Roppongi in Tokyo, especially where they have a bar that they go to. Usually, there's a Bitcoin ATM, like many places in that area. For example, like the founder of Kraken, Jesse, he was also, I think, one of those people attracted to Tokyo. I mean, he wasn't living in Tokyo, but I think he got inspiration from Mt. Gox hacking, and then that's why he wanted his exchange Kraken to be like the most secure exchange. But he was the one who ran a lot of lesson from like Mt. Gox. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, and then also the Mt. Gox was obviously the largest crypto exchange back then before the hacking, right? and then that was based in Tokyo. Although it was not run by Japanese, but it was in Tokyo anyway. So that's also the reason why a lot of people, Bitcoiners, are attracted to Tokyo.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, fast forward a little bit, I'd love to hear your perspective on kind of the DAT space as you've watched a little bit from the sidelines and then you've kind of jumped in yourself. And now you guys are, I don't know if you can even talk about it, but, you guys are running somewhat of a DAT playbook at Allied Architects. And obviously, DFDV is supporting that. But, Metaplanet in Japan as well. Like, would love to hear your take on the DAT space specifically as it pertains to Japan, because I think outside of the US, DATs have really only so far worked in Japan with Metaplanet as the, flagship example there. So would love to hear your thoughts on the space evolving and how it's specifically evolving in Japan.
Yeah, I think big reason is this crypto tax, right? You can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, like about 100 cryptocurrencies you can basically buy on the Japanese regulated exchanges. But there's like a huge heavy tax on the crypto capital gain in Japan. That's up to 55%. But if if you have a capital gain on equities, it's only like 20%. So if you can get exposure to crypto via equities, that's a lot lower. And I think that's a huge advantage. And although the Japanese government is changing and lowering the crypto tax to 20% currently, but it's not going to be effective as of January 2028. So more than like 1 year and 1.5 years. So yeah, still no, that model worked very well in Japan. And also I think Metaplanet, I think they did specifically Metaplanet, they did a great job because I guess, it was basically modeled after strategy in the States, but I guess they basically they used the how to say they were very fast in the sense that they have existing business, a hotel business, and then but they are not really leveraging that existing business and start the entire DAT business as their main business. And that was something because they moved fast. No, there's basically they innovated that space before the clear rules defined in a good way. Now TSE, Tokyo Stock Exchange, and others are having some opinions about doing DATs from scratch as a new business without constant existing business. If you start a new business as that without doing any existing business, that can be seen as a problem from the
Mm,
TSE perspective. But the Metaplanet was innovative in the first place because no one imagined that was possible. Yeah, and then I think I guess before starting Metaplanet, their market cap was around 20 million, but now like 2 billion, 3 billion market cap, maybe a bit more. So that's like very very successful, innovative, because they moved fast. I think. Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. So, shifting gears a little bit and digging into the digital credit ecosystem, there's not yet been a digital credit instrument, a preferred variable rate non-convertible preferred yet launched in Japan. And obviously, the Japanese market has a very interesting history with yield, right? JGBs have historically yielded, well, nothing. Yields, I know, are starting to come back, but that's been quite the change from the last, multiple decades. So, I know you guys have certainly been watching the space closely, watching what Strategy has done, watching what Strive has done. How do you guys think about the receptiveness of the Japanese audience to an instrument that might yield, say, double digits?
Mm.
And then on a related note, do you think Japanese DATs need to offer that level of yield, or can they offer something lower? Maybe it's like 8% and have quite a bit of demand for the product.
Yeah, Japanese investors they like passive income, and then I think it's gonna be there's gonna be a great demand for preferred stocks, generating yields. And then I see already in the Twitter space that people have started talking a lot about SDRC, Apyx as well. And yeah, I think, yes, I think it has a great fit with the Japanese market, especially, especially given that like traditional DeFi space, let's say, is having a little bit of troubles because of those like hacking and in the past months they want to keep seeking on-chain yield without relying on the traditional the DeFi yield generating model, let's say. So no, it's a new model, I think. And then yeah, I think I see lots of people started exciting about this. And no, of course, additionally, the Japanese yen is still in a decline mode, despite the Japanese government try to. I mean, they have intervened many times, but even when they intervene, the Japanese yen a little bit afterwards, it go back to the similar standards like 160 yen level per dollar. So that shows a kind of the constant pressure towards the depreciation of Japanese yen, and also we have inflation as well. And then no, it doesn't generate almost it generates like almost none yields when you just deposit yen in banks. So yeah, 10% yield, and then that's super attractive to I would say to Japanese investors. And yeah, I mean 10% is great, and but even 8%, like I don't know 9%, 8%, it can be still attractive to Japanese investors, I'd say, because let's say when we look at the staking service offerings by the regulated Japanese exchanges, they don't offer as much. They offer like typically 5, 6, 7% for like not even less, I think, for their staking offerings. So yeah, compared with that, 8%, 9% levels, still attractive. I would say.
Now, one of the things that I think about, whenever we've talked to some DATs in Europe and talked to DATs in other places that want to do preferreds in their local currencies. But the question always is like, well, why doesn't a Japanese investor or an investor wherever just go buy Stretch? They can just, open up a US brokerage account maybe and buy it. So what would be the argument? Like, why would a Japanese investor want to buy a Japanese issued preferred relative to just going and buying Stretch?
Yes, that's a good question. But I think we can use the success of Metaplanet here as well. If the logic is applied, then Japanese investors can just buy strategy stocks, right? Without buying like Metaplanet stocks. But I think there's like, of course, kind of language barrier in the first place. But maybe more important thing is that I think Japanese people in general, they want to have point of contact in Japanese who they can contact or complain if anything happens in Japanese. And then, I mean, you can send lots of message to strategy, of course. But I mean, it's really tough for many Japanese to say something in English, right? They're not used to it. But in Japanese, they can like fully express what they want to say to that. And yeah, I think it's very important to have an entity or someone in Japan and to issue preferred because the Japanese investors feel comfortable saying something if
Yeah,
anything. Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, on that note, obviously, you're very familiar with Apex. Actually, you guys did a small investment into Apex early on. So, hopefully that investment is paying off nicely. We'll see. But I'd love for you to describe kind of in your words, how you think about Apex. However, for our Japanese audience, I'd love for you to do it in Japanese. So I obviously can't, ask you any follow-up questions, but I'd love for you to just kind of explain from your perspective how the Apex project has value, maybe how it works for the Japanese audience, you know, in Japanese.
Yes. Yes. Then I'll speak in Japanese now. Okay. Apyx は DAT の優先株を担保にしたステーブルコインを発行しているプロトコルです。で、金のステーブルコインで、 今、だいたい、10%以上のイールドを出していますと。で、USDC を持っていれば、えこのApyx のその、イールドにアクセスできるということで、これは、新しいタイプのオンチェーンの、イールドを生み出す、プロトコルとして、イールドに飢える、人々にとっては新たな選択肢になるんじゃないかなとは、思っています。で、アライドアーキテクツは、2月かなに、Apyx に今出資をしていまして、で、アライドアーキテクツとしても、まずはこのイノベーティブな試みに対して、すごく、興味を持っていたということが、あるのと、あとはパーカー、との、長年の関係もあり、単純に応援したいプロジェクトであったということがあって、出資をしました。で、今後どうなるかっていうのはわかんないんですけど、当然、アーキテクツも、今後、DAT として、トレジャリーカンパニーとして、成功するためには、継続的に資金調達をする必要があって、で、アーキテクツとして優先株を、発行して、それが、APEX の担保になるというようなことが、どこまでできるのかっていうのは、検討しているというところが、ありますので、そういった意味でも、APEX プロトコルにすごく、興味がある。いろいろな日本市場でもどんな、可能性を模索できるのかっていうのを、Yes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Hisashi. I'll have to listen to it translated after to make sure you didn't insert any lies or falsities in there.
I don't think
Kidding.
I did.
Yeah, I'm sure not. I'm sure not. Well, really appreciate you taking the time. I know we're actually all here at Consensus. JC, who's the producer here, I'm looking at him right now. And then you and I were just hanging out and are going to hang out in a little bit again. But really appreciate you taking the time coming on here. Also, I do want to, give a shout out to our Japanese users. We've got quite a few, very active community on the Apex side. So, appreciate all of y'all's support. And yeah, really excited to continue building with you guys on the Allied Architect side, both from the Apex front and from the DFDV front. And I don't know, hopefully one day maybe you guys can launch a preferred offering of your own, but we'll save that for the future. So
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
yeah, anything
that's possibility is something I mentioned in Japanese.
fantastic. All right, cool. Well, anything else you want to say, Hisashi, before we wrap up?
Yes, yeah. Allied Architect, we are super excited to work with both DFDV and Apyx. We have, I think, we have many things to do to collaborate in the Japanese market, and you know, uh, the Epic side, of course, it's it's going to be a new, very innovative approach in the Japanese market. But Allied Architect is really happy to explore the possibility of preferred offerings, and then how Apex can be involved with that possibility. It's something we would like to explore. And then the FDB side, yeah, Allied Architect has a network of Japanese corporations, 6,000 corporate clients in total for the past 20 years, and they are basically they don't know what to do with um, their yen holdings despite inflation and yen depreciation situation. So together we can offer them good exposure to crypto, be it staking or DeFi asset management, Apex of course. We can together try to give them experience of having extra exposure to crypto, and then that's something we are excited about.
Very cool. Yeah, I love the lead by example approach where you guys run a treasury business yourselves. And then when you're selling the offering, the asset management offering to somebody else, you can really speak from experience because you guys use all the tools and everything that you're talking about on a day to day basis already. So I think that's a pretty interesting product and really excited to see you guys get out there and, hopefully close a lot of deals with it.
Yes, that
All right,
that's
cool.
actually yeah, that's our goals as well. So yeah, definitely.
Sweet. Well, great
Yeah.
to hear. Well, appreciate your time here, Hisashi. It's been great having you on. I'm sure we'll chat again. And yeah, with that, we can go ahead and wrap up.
Yeah. Thank you again, Parker, for having me. And yeah, we chat again.